Hi, welcome to this video. Today we will discuss about Introduction to Python Programming. The way of program. The way of thinking combines some best features of mathematics, engineering, and natural science. Problem solving means the ability to formulate problems, think creatively about solutions, and express a solution clearly and accurately. Like mathematicians, computer scientists use formal languages to denote ideas, specifically computations. Like engineers and scientists, design things assembling components and observe behavior of complex systems, form hypotheses, and test predictions. As it turns out, the process of learning to program is an excellent opportunity to practice problem-solving skills. That's why this chapter is called The Way of the Program. What is a program? A computer program is a sequence or set of instructions in a programming language for a computer to execute. The computation might be something mathematical, such as solving a system of equations or finding the roots of a polynomial. But it can also be a symbolic computation, such as searching and replacing text in a document, or something graphical, like processing an image or playing a video. Computer programs are one component of software, which also includes documentation and other intangible components. A computer program in its human-readable form is called source code. Basic instructions appear in every language that they are. Input. Get data from the keyboard, a file, the network, or some other device. An input is data that a computer receives. An output is data that a computer sends. Computers only work with digital information. Any input that a computer receives must be digitized. Often data has to be converted back to an analog format when it's output, for example, the sound from a computer's speakers. Output. Display data on the screen, save it in a file, send it over the network. An output is data that a computer sends. Computers only work with digital information. Math. Perform basic mathematical operations like addition and multiplication. The math module is a standard module in Python and is always available. To use mathematical functions under this module, you have to import the module using import math. It gives access to the underlying C library functions. Conditionals execution. Check for certain conditions and run the appropriate code. Conditional execution controls whether or not the core will execute an instruction. Most instructions have a condition attribute that determines if the core will execute it based on the setting of the condition flags. Repetition. Perform some action repeatedly, usually with some variation. Sometimes we need to repeat the string in the program, and we can do this easily by using the repetition operator in Python. The repetition operator is denoted by an asterisk symbol and is useful for repeating strings to a certain length. One of the interesting getting started with Python. Let's use the print statement for the programmer's perennial first example, hello world. Next we will move setup of Python. Downloading and installing the Python programming. This is official website for downloading Python. This is an interface of Python website. It is available in Windows, Linux or Unix, macOS, other. The new version of Python is 3.10.4. Further we move into features of Python. High level. Python is a high-level interpreted language. It seems that with every generation of languages, we move to a higher level. Assembly was a godsend for those who struggled with machine code, then came Fortran, C, and Pascal, which took computing to another plane and created the software development industry. Through C came more modern compiled languages, C++ and Java. And further still we climb, with powerful, system-accessible, interpreted scripting languages like TCL, Perl, and Python. Each of these languages has higher-level data structures that reduce the framework development time. That was once required. Useful types like Python's lists and dictionaries are built into the language. Providing these crucial building blocks in the core language encourages their use and minimizes development time as well as code size, resulting in more readable code. Because there is no one standard library for heterogeneous arrays, lists in Python, and hash tables. Portable. Python can be found on a wide variety of systems, contributing to its continued rapid growth in today's computing domain. Because Python is written in C, and because of C's portability, Python is available on practically every type of platform that has an ANSI C compiler. Although there are some platform-specific modules, any general Python application written on one system will run with little or no modification on another. Portability applies across multiple architectures as well as operating systems. Scalable. The term scalable is most often applied to measuring hardware throughput and usually refers to additional performance when new hardware is added to a system. We would like to differentiate this comparison with ours here, which tries to reflect the notion that Python provides basic building blocks on which you can build an application, and as those needs expand and grow, Python's pluggable and modular architecture allows your project to flourish as well as maintain manageable, extensible. As the amount of Python code increases in your project, you will still be able to organize it logically by separating your code into multiple files or modules, and be able to access code from one module and attributes from another. And what is even better is that Python's syntax for accessing modules is the same for all modules, whether you access one from the Python standard library, one you created just a minute ago, or even an extension you wrote in another language. Using this feature, you feel like you have just extended the language for your own needs, and you actually have. Easy to maintain. Maintaining source code is part of the software development lifecycle. Your software usually continues to evolve until it is replaced or obsoleted. Quite often, it lasts longer than a programmer's stay at a company. Much of Python's success is that source code is fairly easy to maintain, dependent, of course, on size and complexity. However, this conclusion is not difficult to draw given that Python is easy to learn and easy to read. Another motivating advantage of Python is that upon reviewing a script you wrote 6 months ago, you are less likely to get lost or pull out a reference book to get reacquainted with your software. Object-oriented. Object-oriented programming adds another dimension to structured and procedural languages where data and logic are discrete elements of programming. It allows for associating specific behaviors, characteristics, and/or capabilities with the data that they execute on or are representative of. Python is an object-oriented language, all the way down to its core. However, Python is not just a language like Java or Ruby. It is actually a pleasant mix of multiple programming paradigms. For instance, it even borrows a few things from functional languages like Lisp and Haskell. And next we will move into running Python programming. One of the common questions from beginners is how to run Python code interactively. A widely used way to run Python code is through an interactive session. To start a Python interactive session, just open a command line or terminal and then type in Python, or Python 3 depending on your Python installation, and then hit enter. The Python interpreter is a program that reads and executes Python code. Depending on your environment, you might start the interpreter by clicking on an icon, or by typing Python on a command line. When it starts, you should see output like this. The first 3 lines contain information about the interpreter and the operating system it's running on, so it might be different for you. But you should check that the version number, which is 3.4.0 in this example, begins with 3, which indicates that you are running Python 3. If it begins with 2, you are running, you guessed it, Python 2. The last line is a prompt that indicates that the interpreter is ready for you to enter code. If you type a line of code and hit enter, the interpreter displays the result. If you type 1 + 1, it's give output as 2. For running Python. The Python interpreter is a virtual machine, meaning that it is software that emulates a physical computer. This particular virtual machine is a stack machine. It manipulates several stacks to perform its operations, as contrasted with a register machine, which writes to and reads from particular memory locations. Interactively, entering one line of Python at a time for execution. Finally, you can run from a graphical user interface from within development environment, IDE. Python offers multiple options for developing GUI, graphical user interface. Out of all the GUI methods, tkinter is the most commonly used method. It is a standard Python interface to the TK-GUI toolkit shipped with Python. Python with Tkinter is the fastest and easiest way to create the GUI applications. GUI is advanced topic we will discuss further in later. IDEs typically feature additional tools such as an integrated debugger, text editor, and support for a wide range of source code control tools such as CVS. These are the method of running Python programming. So in next video we will discuss about the first program and some other basics. Thanks for watching. Also subscribe the channel and share the video and to press the bell icon and click all to never miss an update. Thank you.